Okay, here we go. It's exactly 11 p.m. Friday night, November 22nd, 2024, here in New Jersey on the east coast of the U.S., outskirts of New York City. I'll start by saying breaking news, breaking news. And the breaking news, the first one would be, if you're familiar with Israel Diego Rivera, Genius 2, The Real Genius, his channel, well, he closed every one of his channels. He can't be found anywhere as far as I know. Closed all his channels everywhere, and there's neither, whatever you want to call it, you can't find him, hide nor hair of him, like a internet mystery, if you've heard of that before. This plays a lot into everything going on as far as things I'm going to say, predictive programming, things like that. And the reason why I said it that way, breaking news, is because he used to come on when he had fresh information breaking, and that's what he said. That's what he would say. And he did have one of a kind things going on, information and insight and knowledge about everything that there is, really, as far as, these societies and occults and Masonic and so forth, and how this all ties in, and what, programming, predictive programming, like I said, and what is being telegraphed as far as coming events, which seem to indicate, when they're going to happen and how this all ties in. Now, the second breaking news is that Bushcraft Bear, I'm sure you're all familiar with him, with the La Palma eruptions and so on. He was there doing filming and doing videos, or videos as he would pronounce it. And he's back in La Palma, and I saw a live stream, believe it or not. It just came across my screen, and I just happened to catch it after all this time, and he was talking live. And he said, basically that he's back and he's there, and he's like seemed excited, like he's going to do live videos and start, doing this all again. And then I went back to see the live stream, and it was down, it was gone. And apparently he said, I guess in his community post, I think, that he took it down because he was afraid of copyright worries or copyright strike. That seemed pretty odd to me. And I haven't seen him do any more videos really after that. Now, one of the things that in one of the last videos of Diego Rivera that he did, I think he mentioned, or no, someone in the comments mentioned that Bushcraft Bear was back at La Palma, and whoever this man is, he goes by the name, like I said, of this channel, and I don't know his name. I thought I did, but that's inaccurate. But it doesn't matter. But I don't know his name. I don't know if anyone else does, and I don't know if anyone can find anything to do with him anymore. It's like he's scrubbed, like he didn't exist. But anyway, his response to that comment was that he, Bushcraft Bear, is back there to report on the event, on the coming event, which everyone who knows about this, it seemed that at the time in 2021, when all this happened, it seemed like the anticipated break off of the southern flank, western flank would happen. It seemed like it was so dramatic and severe, but it didn't happen then. But anyway, oh, and of course, not to mention the result being a tsunami, um, you know, affecting the Atlantic Ocean and carrying across the sea and inundating east coast really of the U.S., many of the states. So that's what he said, and I think that's pretty much true. I think that's why really he's there right now. One of the things that I remember he mentioned was the fact that one of the hurricanes that hit Florida, of several, and I'll get into that in a little while, um, actually came across all the way from Florida, across the Atlantic, and swept through the Canary Islands and produced pretty damaging or dramatic, forceful climate weather, you know, things going on that happened. So he mentioned that. So I mean that's these things are foretelling. I'll get to that in a second. Why he mentioned that, and it also seems to connect into everything. Now another thing that just happened that seems to be significant goes along with this kind of thought and you know realization about things being predicted is that there was I guess this was about a week ago or so, a cruise ship. There was a wave, all right, giant wave, and there was on this channel. I forget what it was, but that was what it said. That was the headline. All right, Cruise News Today is what it was. I think the channel. It said cruise ship hit by giant wave injures guest and crew. Okay, so if I got this right, it was a Royal Caribbean cruise ship, and the name of it was of the Seas, Explorer of the Seas. And other headlines, news were calling it a rogue wave, a rogue wave. What does that sound like? It sounds like a tsunami, okay? Or was it the wind, okay? That's one headline said it's a wave, the other is wind. It's like it's uncertain what happened and why this was, and it rocked the ship, sort of reminiscent of the Titanic, which sank. All right, and Royal Caribbean, you have the name Royal, and that fits in with all of this. Um, the messianic Messiah of the new world, the new age, of the resurrected new world. That's what this is all about. Bringing in this messianic figure, all right, and Royal Caribbean, and I'll get to that in a second. A lot of storms formed in the Caribbean late in the year just now, which affected mainly they all headed to Florida. So let me back up a second. The last storm that Florida hasn't and experienced was from Hurricane Sarah, just the past week or so. But that dissipated, and I guess just brought rain, I guess some wind to Florida. The one previous to that was major news. I'm sure just about everyone knows about it. Hurricane Milton that hit Florida. And the interesting thing about this is that there existed a hypothetical scenario of a storm much like this happened, which would pass through Florida, and it was called Operation Hurricane Phoenix. That's what it was called. And so this very much resembles that. And what it was like saying that hypothetically a Category 5, I think, storm passed from the west to the east, right at Tampa, Tampa Bay, St. Petersburg, going right up to Tampa, and causing major catastrophic destruction. So it didn't quite happen that way, but the storm stayed a little bit south. Otherwise, it would have been that. I mean, not that far south, a little bit north, and would have been that same exact um, replication, that same scenario coming to pass. So, um, again, what does this have to do with anything? Well, the New Age, climate change, big part of all of this, climate, okay? And Operation Hurricane Phoenix, that's what this is all about too. The Phoenix Rising, the new world, the new, what do you call it? The new Atlantis, new age, new birth, um, bringing in the new, the death of the old, rebirth, resurrection, um, fire, the phoenix rising out of the ashes, and water event. You have a fire and water event, like a volcano and a tsunami. And this has been referred to as a birthing event. And I believe that's what it is. I believe that's what the birthing event of all this is and will be, um, of this break off taking place. And Israel Diego Rivera expected this, and I guess still expects this. I don't know where he is, if he can still expect it, um, this year. And well, I'm not going to get into all that now. I'll talk about that a little bit later from iPet GOAT 2 and what the reasoning is. And he first thought that it would be like the beginning of this year, like by February. I did a video on that. He thought that this inundation, this flood would happen right around that time, and then it didn't. But he he's saying that the end of the year too, according to the predictive programming, right at this time, is also major in play. It was either then or now, and I'll explain a little bit more about that later. But I want to sort of run through this a little bit. I'm kind of not speeding along here. I'll try to speed it up a little, get some energy going, but because there's so many topics to talk about here. But I kind of wanted to just skim over the main things first and then go into more detail as I go on. But I do want to say that I'm still waiting and expecting that this very much could be imminent. Still, it hasn't gone away. It's not imaginary. It's not, a wrong prediction. This seems absolutely like it's going to happen, and I still believe it's going to happen very, very shortly. Will it happen by the end of this year or within, the first month or two of 2025? It's very, very possible, especially all the other developments and things going on, as time progressed through this year, which is almost totally over now. Just briefly here, Hurricane Milton, the name Milton, all right? John Milton, we all know, well, what is it, Paradise Lost, and his major works like that, and, about Atlantis and the flood, I think. Anyway, Milton, like millstone, like cast into the sea, a mountain cast into the sea, like it says in Revelation, burning mountain cast into the sea. I'm not saying that's exactly this, but I still believe this is going to happen, and it's a kickoff event. And I believe that as believers, we believe we're not going to be around for this, or, you know, major catastrophe, world war, and this kind of thing, sudden destruction, as it is, as it's said. And so believers will be gone before these events these events happen. I believe that. Or millstone, uh, or ton, a stone of a ton, like the idea of a big stone dropping into the sea. It sort of reminds me of what Jesus said, that, whoever, paraphrasing, harms one of these little ones, it's better for him that a millstone were, you know, wrapped around his neck and he would drown in the depths of the sea. That's pretty darn strong language, okay? But it sort of reminds me of this kind of idea of the sea, stone, sinking, and so on. Okay, so now about these storms, these hurricanes that formed, it seemed very, very unusual where they formed from. Usually impulses come off of Africa and they move across and they develop and sweep in, um, through the, you know, from the east to the west, take paths like that, sometimes up the East Coast or through the Caribbean, and then it could even go into the Gulf and go into the lower states there, into Texas or Louisiana and so forth. Well, these started out gestated like Central America there, you know, by uh, Mexico, further south, spawned over there and just sort of spun around, sat there, and developed, and then headed east, you know, all with their eyes on Florida, every one of them. So that's pretty unusual. And there's those who follow the weather and do reports on the weather. And I'm not going to name the channel, but one of these channels was talking about the fact that crazy radar signatures that look like frequency waves in the radar, um, you know, what that's indicating of manipulation. So I think without a doubt, and like I said, that storm, that Operation Hurricane Phoenix, and it did just that. It acted just like that. And at this time, you know, fitting in with everything that's going on and the timing of it. Now, here's another thing, another similarity or cross reference here is that this Royal Caribbean cruise ship, it's another story about the sea, all right? It was passing, its path was passing through the Canary Islands. It was heading um, west, right off the coast of Tenerife, and it was heading to, its route was to Jacksonville, Florida, all right? Another oddity. Right off Tenerife, heading toward Florida on the route to Jacksonville, Florida, and it had to turn around, I guess, and head it back to the Canary Islands, and aborted it. And I guess all the passengers were shocked. The boat just bolted and jolted and hit hard, like, in this way, and knocked down dishes, and people staggered and caused, pretty much a mess, and a very frightened people on that cruise from that. And that was it, one big wave or shock. And it's like, well, where did it originate from? Where did it come from? And so forth. Like a big mystery, the rogue wave. Well, that's exactly what's going to happen if that occurs with La Palma, a rogue wave. And like I said, Bushcraft Bear mentioned the fact that on the other way around is that tropical storm Ellie, I think it is, made its way all the way from Florida and passed through the Canary Islands. So you have a lot of connections and back and forth going on here, like a circle from one to the other, relating back to each other, back and forth kind of thing. Okay, now just this past week, speaking of Tenerife, there was a earthquake swarm of 500 earthquakes in one day, all under 1.0. But again, it's like another kind of mystery thing. Why did it happen all at once like that, below 1.0? And every day, really, there's quakes in Tenerife. Quite frequently, maybe not every day, but just about. And, bigger than that, two, 3 is pretty common all the time, and the other surrounding islands, and a few once in a while on La Palma. But again, here you go. You have at the same time here all of this Tenerife getting this 500 earthquakes occurring in one day, small tremors. And they said that it never happened before except 4 other times, starting from 2016 up to this recent one. So it never happened like that before there. And again, there's a lot of conflicting things being said about it, like, oh, it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that there's going to be an eruption at Tenerife or whatever. But there doesn't have to be. It could be a forewarning, a foreshock of events that are going to happen with La Palma. I mean, maybe it's not, but like I'm saying, following all this stuff, you put two and two together enough times, and things seem to correlate and make sense and relate to one another. And during the last several months or so, maybe last 3 or 4 months, there were 2 warnings going on for La Palma because of gassing, occurring. Like that could be a sign of eruption. And so this has been happening too, 2 times so far. Warning tourists or whatever. And here's another very interesting point. Hurricane Sarah, before it formed into a hurricane, was labeled CT or TC19, standing for Tropical Cyclone 19, TC19. While 19, there's a lot involved with that number also. I'm going to mention another few things also. But listen to what happened. So I did a search for TC19. I wanted to, about that storm when it formed before it turned into Hurricane Sarah. So I did. And to my surprise, there were many results of all different types of things with the number TC19 relating to all kinds of things termed TC19. But here's the catch. Here's the big catch here. And let me mention also that I'm doing this video over. This is the second time I'm doing it and redoing it. And at one point, when I was mentioning all this TC19, I stopped the video and I noticed it said 1619, which is a 19, in reverse, 16 and 19. So that was kind of odd timing for that. But anyway, this is the result that I got. There's a team, a professional hockey team named the Seattle Kraken. And it was talking about seats, and the number they mentioned, I guess it was just randomly showing buying seats, was section TC19 at Climate Pledge Arena, section TC19. All right. Again, if it's a coincidence, it's another just crazy coincidence. But I mean, come on. And the tickets were for the Seattle Kraken versus the Montreal Canadiens. And then it said NW Tunnel Club. Well, what does NW usually stand for? Well, you could say New World, right? And then on the 20th, it was Nashville Predators at Seattle Kraken. like I said, the 20th. All right. And right now, within the last several days here, there's been what's called a bomb cyclone. Bomb cyclone that's hit the upper northwest U.S. near, Washington and Oregon. So again, at the same time of all of this, there's a bomb cyclone going on. Major catastrophic. Well, I guess it's not that major. I guess it was played up a lot. I don't know. Maybe it was. But at this going on too at the same time. You know, the Kraken. And this reverts back to Israel Diego Rivera. And he talked about this predictive programming with the movie The Kraken. The movie The Kraken and how it relates to La Palma, to this event, this break off and tsunami um, situation. And the big phrase going around from this is release the Kraken. That goes around. You could hear that, you know, people say that online or whatever. It's pretty common. The Kraken was basically, it's an old movie, very old movie about the Kraken, which is like a giant beast that arises out of the ocean right next to an island, and the catastrophic things it does to attack, I guess. I'd have to look into that to see exactly, but I mean, I've seen it, I guess, parts of the movie or whatever. But that's basically what it is, the Kraken, and that's what the name of the team is. And also recently, the southern states on the Gulf have been experiencing severe, like almost summer-like weather with tornadoes, I guess, just severe weather, and that seemed unusual too. Again, it's all under the umbrella of climate change. And again, like I said, this is one of the key things, along with health, that's playing a part in all of this scheming and so on to bring in this new age, all right, this plan to pass. And finally, here in the northeast around where I live, there's been drought. Well, there was drought for a long time, and it's been like a soggy, soppy kind of rain for the past few days. It's going to end, but finally it did rain, and there was some severe snow a couple hundred miles to the north and west of here. So take your pick: blizzards, rain, drought, hurricanes, kraken, uh, bomb cyclones. Take your pick. It's all been happening. Tornadoes, all like almost simultaneously. Oh, and fires before that. Wildfires because of the drought situations. And I guess still major areas in the country having drought. And then there was just the what's called the G20 meeting, governing 20, those countries gathering together, I guess in Peru, to have talks or whatever they do. Anyway, it's actually G19 because one of them didn't show or is not involved or whatever. So it's really G19, again, the number 19. Like I said, when I did the other video, here's another thing that happened. I stopped it and I was looking at the outline of what I was going to talk on, and the clock showed 1:19 a.m. So again, it's kind of odd. And I guess I want to say too that I don't put stock in something just because it seems like a coincidence. No matter you know even if a lot of people seem to have it and it seems to be what's called confirmation, it might be or it might not. But so I'm very although it may not sound like it, I'm very level-headed when it comes to all of this. So, I'm not like, oh, look at this. This relates to that, and so this must mean that. Well, I don't think that at all. I just take it, as it is, and most of it I just brush it off because there's a lot of goofiness, unfortunately, a lot of false speculation and downright predictions, especially, I mean, if you want to say with those who call themselves Christians or whatever, with signs or whatever direct predictions, and they're wrong. They give the date, and they were wrong, and they don't even act like anything happened or anything's wrong. They just go on and really make new predictions over and over. But anyway, so what I'm trying to say is whatever is it seems like such coincidence, or is it, or are these things connected? I have the UFO conference and all of this major news. Seems like that seems to be coming out in the open, you know, saying and trying to prove and claim that uh, there's UFOs and aliens. And as far as Christian belief goes in the Bible and prophecy, we don't, that's not something that would be considered accurate, okay? I don't want to get into all these tangent things, but I mean, even the idea of Nephilim and whatever someone wants to call that, I don't, I don't go for that. I never did really, but it's just my, it's what I say, and what I think. So there's fallen angels, there's false signs, and there's technology. Okay, that's what there is, and so that's what I would say. And of course, the election, the Trump situation, and so on. And he lives in Mar-a-Lago, Palm Beach, Florida. Again, Palm. This is a major thing. Again, I'm not saying this is directly related to La Palma, but it could very well be. Diego Rivera used to talk about this all the time. Palm. La Palma is named after three different things, really. Palms, the Palm Island, Canaries, as far as a canary, a bird, it's referred to, and canary, like canine, so dogs, it's a dog island. So it's like all three referred to. I guess I'll be trying to close here in a second, and there's just a few other things that I wanted to mention. Diego Rivera also would mention a person named Neil Oliver. Oliver, he would call him, call these people shills and so forth, and gatekeepers or what have you, or whatever, controlled opposition or what have you. But anyway, this person just did a video several days ago, and he named it a seismic event with exclamation marks. That was the name of the video, and it didn't have to do with the seismic event. The seismic event was the election. But again, these titles and these, things, the way they're announced is usually for a purpose. They're trying to do just that, to show what events that are about to take place. So a seismic event, I believe that's going to be La Palma, and I believe it'll be a giant earthquake that will do this. Whatever produces it, okay, just put it that way. However it's caused. I guess last but not least, there was a video today, or someone did a video, and he showed in New York City there was a sign right on a traffic light that said, the Moshiach is here. Moshiach, or Messiah, referring to the Jewish belief, that the Messiah is here now, is ready to reveal himself, and he's actually, any day, imminent ready to take place. And these Orthodox Jewish channels come across my screen sometimes, and they're all yelling out right now that the Moshiach or Messiah is here. You know, get ready to greet him. He's here. He's ready to be shown at any moment. Yeah, and also, of course, the constant so-called threat of war. Now, I believe, of course, especially from the Bible, that these wars definitely are going to happen, and there will be sudden destruction, whatever that entails. Well, a lot of this is, you know, is psyop, is what I'm saying. Again, not that it's not real, but it's not in a sense, because it's all, you know, basically theater and made up. So that's what that's the conclusion that I have. It's one of the prongs, you know, set up to frighten and to people be on edge and always looking at these things, that seem to be coming upon the world any day, and it's just a constant grind and threat, especially with nuclear and so on. So maybe the point is very near for this to actually happen, is what I'm saying. But, like previous to that, especially all these kind of people, I won't go into it except just to say, hype, 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 hype all the time, the same thing day after day, year after year. And, they're doing it for different reasons, all right? Some are just sort of, I don't know, maybe they're a little gullible or whatever, or they don't have the hope of the rapture. They don't believe that, so they believe they have to plan to be here or whatever, and, you know, to face what's about to happen. Well, that's the blessed hope. My voice is going. Uh, that's the blessed hope of in all of this as believers. So I mean, again, there's very, 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 very little that I listen to. Um, you know, about all these things. I mean, from afar, faintly, I'll hear them, but I really don't listen to just about all the stuff that's out there. I mean, I don't know who the person was, Genius 2. I don't know who he is or what the reason is, for him being gone. Um, he had, extensive knowledge about all this, and there's really no one else, that to me that I consider, that knows this and really understands it and is sensible about it and can tie in everything in an accurate way. So with that said, I'm not saying I even advocated any channel. I'm just saying what I just said. That's all I said. And just let it, I let it go at that. I listened to the information, and it seemed pretty darn good and reasonable and believable. So maybe they're about to release the Kraken finally, and we'll just have to, again, what can we do? We have to just wait and see. Maybe the wait isn't very long, finally, once more. And, it's an anticipation. I want to see what uh, goes down, what transpires from now till the end of the year, and that's not even a month and a half, left. Not to put a timeline specifically on things, but um, all told, assessing everything together, it seems like things have to be ready, seem to be on the verge here, maybe for real this time. But you know, there's reasons why things happen. It's mercy is the main thing. Hopefully people will come to believe before that by the gift of God is eternal life, and it's free. You don't have to do anything. You just take it. You take, Jesus, and you have get His Spirit comes to dwell within you, and you're saved and sealed. You have, everlasting life. And the opposite of that is eternal punishment and torment in a place we all know called hell, and that's real too, just like heaven is real. So that's the offer of eternal life. You could accept it, or you could reject it, keep rejecting it, and that's the light of life, the light of the gospel message, and it's free. A lot of people don't want to accept that. They're going to have to find out the hard way, and many of them claim, that they're going to be in the rapture, and they're so excited and everything, but they believe a lie. They believe a false gospel. So there's many out there like that, and it's tragic, and it's really taken over, and I can't say many people see it or realize it. Sort of one big mess mashed together just because it's the rapture. It's like anything goes. It doesn't matter because it's the rapture. It's like stop the fighting. Let's all just love one another. No, there's no compromise. There's no love in lies, and the truth overrides that kind of mentality. Come together and so on, and let's not argue. And this isn't of the right spirit. Well, like I said, Jesus said, remember what I said, if you listen to this all the way through, about whoever, harms one of these little ones, these little children, it'd be better for him to have a millstone tied around his neck and cast into the sea and drown, all right? So I'm not saying, that's just the attitude we should have, but I mean, it's appropriate when it's appropriate. Jesus was forceful with the truth. He didn't compromise. So, neither should we, no matter what. So there's a new spiritual life, a rebirth, a new creation that can be experienced. It's not religious. It's not the Christian religion. It's not this, form of Christianity or whatever versus that. It's Christ in you. Either he is or he isn't. Christ in you, the hope of glory. And is he there? If he is, then you have peace, you have security. Not like the world has peace and security when sudden destruction will come upon them, like birth pains of a woman, in travail giving birth, but you have peace all around. And you don't have to worry. Not that nothing will happen to us. It's not what I'm saying. We'll go through tribulation and trials, but in this world we shall have tribulation. That's not speaking of the great tribulation or time of Jacob's trouble or the end times. That's not what that is. But you could rest in that faith no matter what. And you could rest, as you wait, as hard as it is. But he's there. I mean, the peace, whatever is necessary to get us through. All right. So, all right. That's it. Take care, and we'll see what happens in these next few months here. Take care. Bye.